What's up, everyone? Welcome to Our Way Out. With me today, I have Tristan.
What's up, everyone?
I have Jersey.
What's up, peeps?
And I have Curly.
What's up, everyone?
And we have another special guest, our friend Jeff Goldstein.
How's it going, guys?
Welcome.
Thank you.
So Jeff is an attorney, right? Lawyer,
CEO of a law firm.
CEO of a law firm, and we met Jeff at a very I don't know if it's a special time, but at a time where California was under fire, and we were doing everything we could in our power to try to help our community. And one of the things that we did was make food for the incarcerated firefighters. And Jeff came out with his family, his son Ethan, his wife, and they helped feed the firefighters, and that's where we met you. What inspired you to get involved and give back to the community, and also bring your son to something special like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be here, guys. Really gotta thank Jersey for it. We've known each other for a while, and he's told me a lot of the stories, in the background of what's going on, and knowing what's going on with a lot of the kids that are in the program. And I always tell Jersey, I see things in a different light now as a dad, and I just kind of see things through Ethan's eyes. And I know the struggles that some people have been through, and especially as youth, and want to make sure that, we can at least do our part in trying to give back, even in the littlest ways, to help, to help kids. At the end of the day, kids are everything, and Ethan's my life, and I can see the way that it affects everyone. So I want to make sure that any way that we can, we give back. And the stories that Jersey's told me they've really been moving, and kind of got us to get up off our couches and start helping out a little bit.
That's special. I remember in particular, around that time, it was Ethan's birthday. And I think you and your wife gave him an option to either go to San Diego or go and volunteer his time. And Ethan chose to stay back and volunteer his time. That says a lot about your parenting, the child that you're bringing up. And I think it's special for him to see that, like, hey, you can help others in many different forms.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good memory that you remembered that. I appreciate that. But yeah, we've been, from a young age, trying to get Ethan to really look at how he can help others. We do a lot of volunteer work in the Boys and Girls Club in Boyle Heights. We're there multiple times throughout the year. We're every Christmas helping donate gifts and give out gifts to the kids. Sometimes it's the only gifts that they have for the year. So we're trying to do a lot for the kids, and it's great that Ethan's kind of on board.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah, nice.
Super nice. Hey, Curly, just open that door so he stops barking.
He needs to get in on the action.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do is bring Jeff out to the community of Our Way Out and let everybody know what is going on. California, or Los Angeles, has this $4 billion settlement going on with the youth out there that were kids that were incarcerated in juvenile hall that had any misconducts and all that kind of stuff. And Jeff's law firm is out there, trying to help those kids out. So I know some of the guys out in the world there are, there's good guys and bad guys, lawyers out there for people to reach out to. And we just wanted to put it out there in the world. What is this settlement? What's going on? Can you explain a little bit to us what the $4 billion settlement is, and how people could reach out and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So LA County finally, after a number of years of negotiating and lawsuits and whatnot, has opened up a fund for $4 billion for anyone who's been sexually abused while being in a facility from LA County. So that means juvenile hall, any of the camps, anything that was run by LA County. They've set aside this $4 billion to handle sexual abuse claims. On top of that, Newsom passed a law not too long ago where it extended the statute of limitations, meaning the time in which you can file a claim up to in this case, people under the age of 40 currently, and who are under the age of 18 when the sexual abuse occurred. They're still eligible to get in on this $4 billion. Now, last week, they added an extra 828 million on top of the 4 billion. So we know that there's a lot of open claims that are still haven't even been filed yet, and the county knows that as well. So they're adding those extra funds on for this. So we're going to try and help as many people as we can to try and get a piece of that. And again, it's not really a way of fixing anything, obviously, but it's just a little step in the right direction to try and get people back some level of dignity and reparation for what they went through. So as long as the claim happened before the age of 18, right? So if they're still in there and they're under the age of 18 when this happened, they're absolutely eligible, whether they're in juvie or not. And we can obviously look at each claim, but there's nothing that would preclude us from filing a claim just because you're still in juvenile.
Now, what do they consider abuse over there to file a claim and that kind of stuff?
Right. So it's definitely an important question. I always try and think about it in the way that what shouldn't you be doing to a kid, right? I mean, these are children at the end of the day. What are things that you don't do to kids? Just because they're in juvenile hall doesn't excuse any of this behavior. So if you were naked and there were adults watching you in the shower, that's sexual abuse. If there's anything that they told you to do that was obviously inappropriate for a child, where adults are telling children what to do in terms of them being naked or performing any acts of any sort, completely, that's sexual abuse. That's clear. We can go through like a whole list of things, but obviously, that there are more serious forms. I've heard stories of, unfortunately, people have been raped, people have been drugged, people have, been molested. So all of these things fall under that entire umbrella. If there are claims that people are not sure if that qualifies, call us, talk to us. We can help you guys figure out what qualifies. But generally speaking, a lot of the common stuff that I heard is just, getting these kids undressed and, having them do in the name of security, having them do all sorts of things that obviously are inappropriate for children to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And on back in, could you explain to us if it's confidential or will we be exposed for the whole world to know we're abused, or how does that work?
Perfect question. Yeah. So there's both federal and state laws that protect the entire process. Kids are involved. Everything is completely confidential. So anytime that there's a filing with the court or anything that any of these firms or our firms do, it's John Doe, Jane Doe. Your names are never on anything. In terms of what you tell the law firm, everything is completely confidential. There's an attorney-client privilege. We can't say anything to anyone. We wouldn't want to, but we're not allowed to. And the entire process, like I said, because it is dealing with kids, everything is completely confidential. Your name is not on anything. There's no attachment back to you, so you can feel comfortable that none of this is out in the public. No one's going to be able to Google, whoever you are and figure out that, you're attached to any of this claim.
Yeah, because it's got to be hard for guys or girls. I mean, no girls, but definitely men and boys that were in juvenile hall that were getting molested or getting touched to be able to, hone up and say, like, open up to that, because that is definitely a hard thing to talk about, and to share those things out there, so.
Yeah. And again, we've had women that have contacted us as well. So, I mean, it runs the gamut. I'm sure, everyone who's in the system, everyone's a potential, victim, and it's unfortunate, but it's, trying to get back on the right foot and trying to clean some of this stuff up.
And Jeff, how could someone that's watching this, how can they contact you or your office?
Yeah, you can give us a call at any time. You can email us. I can put our number now,
Yeah.
or
We'll give
I'll
you the
put the
number.
link,
We'll
yeah.
put it up on.
I'll put it in the bio. All his information to contact him will be in our bio. So
Yeah.
please feel free to go ahead and look.
perfect. Yeah.
And if they're not local or out of town, should they find a lawyer out of town, or do they need to find lawyers that work in California? All that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah. So just as long as obviously this cut off. Their firm's allowed to practice in California. They're barred in California. They're able to help with the case, but I would just double check to make sure that on the state bar's website that they're licensed to practice law. I've heard stories apparently from people from out of state that are trying to get in on this. I don't know how that works, but just if you're ever unsure, just go to the California bar website and just make sure that law firms
Able to represent you here in California.
Correct.
All right, Jeff. I wanted to ask, like, from a law firm standpoint of view, like, should people be asking these guys for money? What should they look out for to find out if they're real or fake, and how to feel safe if it's not your law firm? What law firm to reach out to and go from?
Yeah. So you Google this, you'll see that there are some shady law firms that are out there that are doing things that are completely unethical, and obviously steer clear from those guys. One of the big things, you should never be paying $1 for any of this. No money should ever come out of your pocket to try and handle on these claims. That shouldn't be the case if people are trying to charge you for that, and that's not a thing where you need to pay money out of your pocket, number one. Number two, if firms are paying you money to make the claims, that's also a problem, right? You're not allowed to solicit claims like that. We've heard many stories of other firms who are paying people money to file claims, who are trying to get them to tell stories. The second you see, it's common sense. Any red flags like that come up, you're not dealing with a reputable firm. So just make sure that you're doing something on the up and up. You shouldn't be paying, and no one should be paying you to do these things.
And like you said, there's a website you can check their bar stand,
Right. Yeah, on the California State Bar, you can go there and you can see their standing to just make sure that they're legitimate and they can actually file claims on your behalf.
Gotcha. Now, after they reach out to you, like, what's the process, just to give people an idea, like, what it's going to take, and like, is there a set amount for these people? Is there any idea on, that kind of stuff? Or is it, the amount of people the more the people that you guys get, the more money, so on and so forth?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the volume of cases is huge. Right now, I think they're dealing with over 8,000 separate cases. So just from a logistics standpoint, they're not going to be able to go through each individual claim. What they're doing is they're putting different claims in different buckets. So depending on the severity of the claim, what we've been told is there's like an initial bucket of claims that are going to be around $100,000 for what they consider the less severe claims. Then there'll be two other buckets going up to $3 million in the highest bucket for obviously some of the more extreme claims that will fall into that. But in terms of like time frame and whatnot, it's a process. The county obviously doesn't do things as quickly as we'd like, but realistically speaking, our hope is that within a year or so, we should have some closure on the majority of most of the claims. That's what we're.
And then also explain, these guys don't, once they reach out to you, there's no trial, right? Because there's already been a settlement. Just explain that to them versus like going to a trial and having to get money type of thing.
Correct. Yeah. So typically speaking, you'd have to kind of go through the entire process, right? You'd have to go through discovery and depositions and go all the way through trial and get through. Just because of the volume of the case, the number of cases, they've settled. They basically said, all right, we understand, we have the liability, we understand the number of cases here. We're opening up this fund to settle all of these cases. So that's what we're in the process of doing now. So in terms of the amount of maybe time and effort that would be required on the plaintiff's end, on the client's ends, it's going to be minimal, because it's just a matter of qualifying the claim, making sure that everything is proper and qualifies for what the county is looking for in order to settle the claims. Then from there, there's really not much else. It's not what you're typically thinking about, where you're talking about years and going to do all this extra work. It's really minimal.
Gotcha. And then what are ramifications? Like, what's the timeline? Is there with the city? Is there like you have to be in before 2026 or 2027? And like, what's the area in which people fall in to file a claim?
So based off of what the law that Newsom passed, they're opening up the statute of limitations to people who are currently under the age of 40. So if your birthday is approaching 40, I mean, great for you, but definitely call us ASAP because we have a certain time frame to get those claims filed in. If you're above the age of 40, that doesn't mean that you don't have a claim, just means that it's a different process. And it's a much easier process for those that are under the age of 40. So if anyone's approaching 40,
it's time to reach out.
Yeah,
correct.
Get them.
reach out ASAP. Yeah. Now, Jeff, thank you so much for coming on and for providing this information, because I wasn't aware, this whole time. I just think someone watching you in the shower was normal, because of the environment that we were in. But man, it's crazy to know that it wasn't. So thank you for coming on here and sharing this information. If you have any questions, you could reach out on our way out, and we'll put Jeff's office information. He'll answer any questions you may have. And like he said, it's all confidential. So reach out to him. Jeff is a really good guy, and our friend.